Okay, so talk to me, Mers. Talk to me. Hi, Mers.
Hey, how are you? Good to be here.
Good. It is fantastic to be here. This is something that we've been talking about a lot. We've been dreaming about it a lot. We've been trying to conceive this little idea, and it is a series of conversation about basically who we are, what we are, and our experience navigating the world of being Latino while being black.
Right, right.
So, I'm excited. You are excited.
I'm ecstatic.
So, tell me first, before everything else, tell me how you've been.
I've been good. I've been good. I got a lot going on, but that's life. And then on top of the fact that I am who I am, that just adds to the volume of life that I got going on. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, we we could talk about this for hours or months to come. The reason why we started by saying this is going to be just a series of conversations, and we will only keep it going if we feel the need for it, and if people that come across it, throw more opinions and tell us, give us more ideas, right?
Right.
But today it's all going to be about the experience, our own experiences. And then later on, we're going to branch out onto other topics of being Latino and Black. But let me start by throwing a quick question at you.
Okay.
In the United States, at least, we see that there is this thing where whenever you talk about being Latino, the assumption is that you must speak Spanish. Is that something you have encountered? Is that something that you've tried yourself to explain to people? Listen, it doesn't necessarily have to mean Spanish speaking. Spanish speaking doesn't necessarily mean Latino. In Latinos go far beyond that.
Right. Yes, I have come across that in life. When you say Latino, they automatically assume that you have to fit in a certain box, that you fit a certain criteria. And when you don't, that raises a question. It's like the eyebrows go up. It's like, what? Huh? That word it can be very confusing to people.
It is. It is, and especially now that we have added the X to it, Latinx.
Oh,
Uh, do you know how many times I've been asked? So I know what a Latino is. First of all, my question in turn is, are you sure?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But what is a Latinx? And it's funny to me that we had to add the X to it in order to for people to realize that there is more to being Latino than just
Right,
speaking Spanish,
right,
right?
right. I don't use the term. I avoid it altogether. It's like Latinx. I mean, why do we have to put labels, in order to identify ourselves or identify a group of people or stereotype a group of people? That now they have a whole bunch of labels, Afro Latino, Latinx, Hispanic. It's so many that it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't understand that there's actually a clearer definition of Latinismo than just the few labels, because Latino is based on the idea that we speak languages that are from Neo-Latin languages, right? And there are four Neo-Latin languages that are like official Neo-Latin languages. We're
Mhm.
talking about French, we're talking
Mhm.
about Portuguese,
Mhm.
Spanish,
Spanish.
and Italian. Those
Mhm.
are the Neo-Latin languages, languages that descended specifically
The
from the
root.
Latin,
Right.
that rooted from Latin, right? And
Yep.
so the countries that don't belong to those four countries or languages, but
Right. That are
rather
not
speak the language
associated with those.
exactly, are what the populace is known as Latinos, right? But it's almost as if like Spanish speaking in the United States has usurped the terminology Latino. Am I right?
Yeah. Oh no, I totally agree 100%. I totally agree with that. And it's it's different, or I don't know, I'm at a loss of words here, that we have to dissect it to,
Yes,
you know, understand exactly what portion or what segment or what identity or what capacity, we fit into.
absolutely. I remember I used to coach youth soccer one time, and I had a mom that was Brazilian, and she one time was speaking to the rest of the moms and said, "Because us Latinos," and another one of the moms were like, "But you're Brazilian." She's like, yeah, and I'm Latina. Like it's no, it doesn't mean speaking Spanish. The reason
Right.
I wanna put that there is, as you said, I just wanna put it out there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The reason I wanna put it out there is because there is more to being Latino than speaking Spanish. But in this
Right.
particular case of ours, we wanna talk about specifically when you are Spanish speaking Latino and black.
That's the topic right there. That's what hits home right there. We live that every day.
It's weird. It
It
is
is.
the weirdest thing because the thing is that in our countries, no one is surprised that we're black,
Oh my God, you're so
right?
right. Nobody in my world at home, it's like this is the norm.
Ju-
What is that's all we know.
Exactly. But yet, once you're in the United States, other Latinos come up to you and they don't know even how to address you, even when they hear you speak Spanish.
Yes.
I've been in situations where I've spoken clear Spanish to a Spanish speaking person and they respond to me in broken English and they
Mm,
insist. And I'm like,
mm.
pero doña, yo le estoy hablando en español como el agua. Ah, pues es que pensé que usted. And I'm like,
And then I asked
no.
him, ¿Qué pensaste? ¿Qué pensaste?
Yeah,
Es
yeah,
que quería que no. ¿Por qué? And the thing is, why would you assume that I'm not like you? Because a lot of them,
yeah.
although you might be a little lighter, but you're still black, you
See,
know.
but the thing is, to this day, I am convinced that Spanish speaking Latinos in the United States, they think that you have to look like you speak Spanish. Like there is a way to look like when you speak Spanish.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I remember that's why I was telling you about the experience. I've told you this before. I used to work in one of those home improvement stores, and I was standing there, and I saw two guys, two construction workers, and they were looking for something specific, and they were speaking Spanish to each other, and they passed by me, and I could tell that they needed help, but I'm waiting for them to come up to me and ask
Approach
me
you.
what
Right,
exactly what they're asking, what looking for.
right.
They wouldn't. They went back and forth. But every time they passed me, they looked at me a certain way, like, I wish I could ask this. I wish I could ask this guy, right?
If only.
Yes, yes, yes. Because exactly because what they were looking for is a sign that I spoke Spanish, and that sign is specifically based on what I look like.
Right,
Do you know what I
right,
mean? It's not a
right,
question of maybe I should come up to this guy, Señor, habla español.
right,
But
right.
no, 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 no. Es que no parece alguien que habla español.
Exactly. Pero, ¿qué es lo que parece una persona que habla español? ¿Qué tipo de physique tenemos que tener para hablar español? Because all the people that I know, again, my family and in my country, they all look like me. And in my head, that's what you're supposed to look like if you speak Spanish, but
Yeah,
there's a big variation. It's not just one type of person or one type of look or one type of image, you know.
that's exactly right.
What am I supposed to look like if I
It's
speak Spanish? And then the thing is that kind of like it throws me for a loop every time. ¿Dónde aprendiste? I was born like this. you know, it's, I'm like, why do I? Because I look the way I look. I have to, or because I'm black, I have to have learned it. I cannot, I I could not have been born with it or grown up in a culture where that's all I speak. It
Really?
has to be an addition to what I am.
I've been uploaded. I've been uploaded. Wow, muy bien. Qué
Or
bien
qué
habla español.
lindo. Why are you so cute? Mira qué bonito. Why are you so pretty? I mean, why are you cute because you speak your native tongue?
Yes. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
you
that
know,
thanks.
whatever, man.
Ah, muchas gracias. And they have to reassure. ¿De dónde eres?
Sí, sí.
Bueno, señora. You know.
And then you have the doubt. Oh.
Right.
Right. And like I'm always, and sometimes just to put them on the spot, I'm like, usted sabe que hay negros en Latinoamérica.
Oh, sí, claro. I
No,
know
no,
that.
pero que no era por eso.
No, right, right, right. No, eso no tiene nada que ver. Eso no tiene nada. Sí, tiene que ver. Tiene mucho que ver. Porque si no,
¿Y
no
qué
preguntaron.
más? ¿Y qué más era? ¿Qué
Right,
más era?
right, right, right.
It's just a weird thing. And the thing is, again, these are the same people that don't they wouldn't think it twice if they saw in their own native countries, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Peru, Honduras,
Yeah.
Venezuela, in
Panama,
their
you
own
know.
Panama, in their own countries, they see black people every day, and they don't have any doubt to walking up to this person
Right,
and speak Spanish.
right.
Whereas here in the
Here,
United States, even when confronted with the reality that this person speaks Spanish, like,
it's still a
yo pensé
question
que
in
usted
there.
era de aquí.
Mm-hmm.
Es que yo pensé que usted era de los de aquí.
Sí,
De los de aquí.
sí, claro.
And this is why we decided to call this series of conversation Detrás de las Orejas. Because being black in Latin America is something that everyone carries behind the ears.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you are actually black, people in Latin America are not willing to
To
openly discuss their blackness.
exactly.
And when those of us who are black
That is no doubt.
attempt to discuss our blackness, we are confronted with all kinds of theories that shut us down in that.
Mm-hmm.
¿Pero para qué? ¿Pero para qué tienen que hablar de eso? Porque es que eso no importa.
Eso no es necesario,
Eso
eso
no
no
es
viene al
necesario.
tema.
Eso no importa porque tú y yo somos iguales. Doña, yo no he dicho que usted y yo no somos iguales.
Right.
What I want you is to acknowledge
Knowledge, right.
that, yeah, this man in front of you, this woman in front of you, is as Latino as
As
you and
you
is
are.
black.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. I agree.
So my question to you is, and I sometimes don't know whether is one of the two things or the two things at once. Is it colorismo itself, the idea that people just prefer have a certain preference to being of European descent, in this case colorismo,
Yeah.
or is it just pure racism?
I think it's a combination of both. It's a combination of both. With the colorism thing, we have a saying in Cuba, hay que adelantar la raza. And what that means
Yeah,
is you're dark skin, but if you marry somebody or get with someone really, really fair skin,
yeah,
black but fair skin, or maybe even white, your children would adelantar la raza. Your
right.
children would become lighter and lighter with the smoother hair and all of
Yes,
that.
yes.
So,
So
yes,
it's a way of saying that it marry up, but basically,
yes,
right? Like
yes.
like like if we are darker skin, getting with somebody lighter, fairer, or even white is
Hmm.
marrying up.
Right,
So the
right.
colorismo also exists even within us, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. because I mean myself, I even have family that is very, 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 very fair skin y pasan por blanco. Y no, y se lo callan. Y no dicen.
Exacto.
I'm like,
Exacto.
pero, you know, espérate, ¿por qué ella puede entrar y yo no? Ella, ella es mi
Yeah.
tía, o ella es mi abuela, ella es mi prima.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Ella es él es mi sobrino,
Yeah.
you know. And I want to share something with you, really, and this happens every day I see this.
Yeah.
My nephew is very, very fair skinned with the curly locks, very fair skin.
Hmm.
My brother is very, very dark skinned, very dark skinned.
Yeah.
And of course, that's his son. They have said, "Oh, are you his coach? Or are you taking care of him for today? Are you picking him up from school?" No, I'm his dad. And I've been witness to this.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's my son. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Why? Why? I don't
Yeah.
understand that. I don't understand that. Now his mom, she's Dominican and she's mulatona.
Yeah.
They have so many
Right.
mulata, trigueña, java.
They
She's
just
one of
won't go
those.
straight to saying they're black, but
Right.
there are all kinds of things. Indiecita clara,
Right.
indiecita. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And her hair is very smooth, very lacio. But then if she wets it, of course, it becomes very curly.
Of course.
But she wears it smooth.
Of course.
And when she's with my nephew, there's no question.
No one has a problem
No
believing
one
that,
has a
you know.
problem.
Yeah.
No one has a problem. And the perception is, oh, the kid has, because he's a hair darker than his mom.
Right.
And the perception is, oh, his dad must be black
Yeah. Right away.
because, his hair texture is a little curlier than mom's. And he's like that light caramel
Yeah.
latte color.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm like, what? Why? I don't. So the colorism runs deep. It
It
runs
runs
very
deep.
deep,
It runs deep.
very deep.
And if we are looking for a culpable for colorism, we have to admit that it has a lot to do in lack of education, right?
Oh yeah,
Ignorance to begin with.
absolutely.
But also, I don't think we talk about this a lot in Latin America specifically because somehow the reality of slavery is not brought up as much in Latin America as
Mm-mm.
in the United States with black people talk about the traumas of slavery
Right,
very openly.
right.
In Latin America is
It's almost
almost like,
covered up.
yeah, like these people they Christianize us. They made us, I mean, like in Latin America, a lot of times we don't realize how deeply slavery created this classism and
Oh yeah,
colorism
right,
and even racism.
right.
Because one of the things that, slavers used to do is they created a class. They
Yeah,
created different classes within
mm,
their own plantation.
right.
If you have access to the house, right?
You're a
If you have
house
access
freak.
to the house, sometimes you even my son or my daughter, and in fact, especially in Latin America, I will give you an education and I will make you believe that you have nothing, you are nothing alike those who are
To the
in the
ones on the
plantation.
outside, exactly.
Yes.
And
And if you are my daughter or my son, I will actually get you married up to either another light skinned person or
yeah,
even a white person.
right.
So now, over the
To
years,
better, yeah,
exactly over the years, you entire rest of the generations become white too.
right,
And we never have to talk about
right.
that blackness.
In Cuba, there's a saying, ¿Y tu abuela dónde está?
Excuse me?
Yeah, because you got all these light ones that
Yes.
are passing, you know, and all of a sudden, they bring grandma to a family reunion or to a gathering. Esa es tu abuela. Ah, no, no, sí, sí. And they can't deny it. It's that one
And I love it.
grandmother in the picture that's the dark
Yes.
skinned one. Is she your nanny?
Yes.
No, she's my grandma.
Mm.
You know?
That is my grandma. Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck off with that nanny
right.
shit.
That's not
Yeah,
my
yeah,
nanny.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so I absolutely understand what you're saying because it comes from adelantando la raza, marrying up. You know,
yeah,
they
yeah.
go so fair skin that the black starts to fade, you know?
Right, right. And because there's a certain convenience to that, no one cares about, bringing it
Right.
up,
Oh
saying,
no.
let's keep it behind the ear.
Yes.
That's where this
Yes.
conversation is going.
This
Let's keep it behind the ear. Closeted
right.
blackness, if you will.
Inconspicuous, and the grandmother is the one that was the slave, planchaba la
Yeah.
ropa, lavaba, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
palo blanco, and the grandbaby
Yeah.
is growing up and they're moving forward, and grandma stays right back there with the black
Yeah.
folks.
Y tu abuela
Y tu
donde está.
abuela
I
dónde
love this is a very it had to be a Cuban saying because
está. Yes.
Cuban don't front like that. Y tu abuela donde
Yeah.
está.
Yeah, because uh, I that's always in my head. My father always taught me that. There's always a
Yeah.
black person, always,
Oh yeah.
there's
Oh yeah.
always a black, but
Oh yeah.
that's, I mean, that's where we come from. Don't be fooled, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny, I'm going to
Yeah.
share with you when I was working for a large organization. This was in Florida. Despite what people think, I used to get hired all the time. Like, it's like, how did she get it? And you see the
Yeah.
dynamic of the office or of the environment. I would be the only black person there, you know.
Yeah.
And one person told me, actually my boss, she said, "Do you know why you get hired? Your skill is outstanding, but you check all the boxes. You're black, you're
Wow.
Spanish, you're a
Wow.
woman." I'm like, "Really?" She
Wow.
goes, "Yeah, because it's hard to find all three to kind of
Yeah.
balance." And I'm like, "Is
Wow.
that it? You using me as a lever, to
It's
leverage?"
just
And she's like,
amazing.
"Well, we have to be inclusive, and we can't have an all white staff. We can't have an all black staff because how would that look? We need someone." And in my head, I'm like, "I don't care how it looks, really. You're using me to fill all your boxes. One, because I speak Spanish, and if someone comes in there and oh, get her, she speaks Spanish," and all these other white people are
Yeah.
looking at the person like, I can't help, but I check that box.
Yeah.
I'm black, I check that box. I'm a woman, I check that box. So I kind of it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because I
Yes.
use it
It
to
is.
my advantage at times, and other times I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? I don't want to check all the boxes.
No, fuck
Yeah,
off.
it's like the hell with this. I don't want to check all the boxes. Either you hire me for my skill, or unless you're going to pay me, for more.
Yeah.
But
No, 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 no. The most important thing is to remember to make them pay
yeah,
for it.
yeah,
Oh yes. Oh fuck.
yeah,
Oh yeah. You want
yeah,
Spanish speaking? Yeah. You will pay for it.
absolutely,
You know.
absolutely.
The whole. Can you
Oh,
interpret or translate? No.
yeah, right,
But you speak
right,
Spanish. I
right.
do, but you don't pay me for that. So
Or when
no.
you do, "Oh, wait, I'll get someone that speaks Spanish for you, and here we come." And they're like,
Mm, yeah.
"Sí, dígame, señora, ¿en qué le puedo ayudar?" "Ay, Spanish, please." "Ajá, dígame, ¿en qué le puedo ayudar? Dígame qué es lo que necesita." "Oh, por favor, dile."
Oh.
And they don't get it because it takes a minute to sink in. They don't
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah.
You
Yes,
know,
yes,
it's like I'm
yes, yes,
speaking to
yes.
you in Spanish. What
Mm,
do you need? And they can't get past the color. They
yeah,
can't get past the fro, or the blackness, la
yeah,
bemba, la nariz
yeah,
chata.
yeah.
They can't
Nah,
get past that.
nah, nah,
And they
nah.
still, I'm like, "Señora, le estoy hablando en español." "Ay, sí, mijita. Ay, perdón, perdón. Es que estaba."
Oh,
And it's like,
see.
oh, okay. Really? 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 That burns me up. Oh my God.
I when I worked in healthcare, my coworker obviously didn't know anything about any of this. To her, yeah, we have Graham and he speaks Spanish, and people are very happy when we tell them, oh, Graham is here and he's gonna help you. And I started kind of like pointing out to her how people
Mhm.
react when I'm the one who comes and speaks Spanish, right? And she, I mean, she took it to heart to the point where like she would even like when she noticed it, she would get frustrated, right? Because she's African American, and in her mind, these kind of things go on just here within, for black people. No, for a black
Right.
person who speaks
Right.
Spanish. And I'm like, no, you will see. And I would have people come in, and instead of immediately asking, is there someone who speaks Spanish here? Even though right under my badge, there is a little sign that
Español.
says Hablo
Oh.
Espanol. So much so, Mers, that white people would come and think that my name was Hablo.
No.
I said, yes, they would go, oh, is that your name, Hablo Espanol?
Oh
I'm
my
like,
god.
no, it just says I speak
Oh my
Spanish, you
god.
fucking dumb squat.
What the hell are
You
you
know,
thinking? That is hilarious. That is
I'm
hilarious. Your name is
serious, man.
Pablo.
Yeah, yeah. But then, despite having that big sign that says Hablo Espanol, they would come to me with the little 6, 7 year old
Oh,
and tell them,
yeah.
dígale que tengo
Oh
appointment.
my god, yeah.
And I'll be like, sí, señora, dígame, ¿cómo le puedo ayudar? ¿Cuál es su, de qué?
Right.
Dígale que es para doña,
Yeah.
hábleme directamente. Ah, pues es que no sabía que usted hablaba
Right.
español. Si le hablé en español desde que
Exactly.
llegó, mi doña. Desde que
Oh god,
llegó.
yes.
You know? And then my coworker would realize that and she would be so frustrated. I'm like, don't worry about it, because
Yeah.
that's been me, it's been a lifetime, so I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, but after a
Almost
while,
don't care
it
about that.
wears on you, because after a while,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my god, do we have to?" So, what I've resorted to, my son tells me, "Ma, stop being mean." I'm like, "I'm not being mean. I just don't speak Spanish at all. I let them
Yeah.
struggle,
Yeah. I
you know?"
I used to do that too. That they would come and have paperwork to fill out. Like they would come and have paperwork to fill out. And one, I have the thing that says hablo español. Two, they never asked me if I spoke Spanish or if I could
Right.
help. So they would come, address me in the little bit of English that they can
Mhm.
speak, then take the paperwork and tell me, do you have interpreter? Like, no, did you request
Right.
one? No, but somebody said
Not
interpreter.
acknowledging
Okay.
that you have
Exactly.
a sign.
I'm still here, hablo
Right.
español. And then I would see them sit there, call their friend or their spouse or somebody, and try to get that. And then sometimes, luckily, someone else would walk in and know that
Oh
I speak
gosh, and blow
Spanish,
your cover.
and we start talking. And then they would come to me like, pues si usted hablaba español, ¿por qué no me
Yes, and
ayudó?
blow your
No, jefe.
cover.
Yeah, no. First of all, one, it does say I speak Spanish here, which you never. I don't know. It wasn't mine to
Right.
tell you. Second, you came in here and addressed me in English from the
Mhm.
get go, even though you're
Right.
struggling. So it's not my job to tell
Right.
you that I speak
Right.
Spanish. It does say that I speak
Right.
Spanish.
I agree.
So
I
yeah.
agree.
Ah, pero es que usted tiene que decirme. No, yo no tengo que decirle un
Right.
coño.
Yo
Yo
no le
tengo que
tengo
decirle
que
una
decir
mierda.
nada, nada. No le tengo que decir nada. That I mean, I that's happened to me occasionally it's happened to me. People are oh, what can I do? Okay, yeah, let me give you this. You need to fill this out. Make sure you get it notarized and this and that. And then somebody will walk by and say, "Hey, panita, ¿cómo te va?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh," and I'm like, "Sí,
yeah,
bien. Cualquier cosa que necesite me deja saber, me llamas ahorita." Ay, pero ¿por qué no me dijo que hablaba español y yo aquí pasando dificultad? Bueno, señora, ¿qué dificultad? ¿Tú no
yeah,
ves que estamos en un ambiente hispano? ¿Qué tú piensas? ¿Que yo estoy
yeah,
aquí
yeah.
por the way I look? No. It's not my obligation to tell you that I speak Spanish. It is not mi deber de dejarte saber que yo hablo español para que entonces te asombre. No.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? You know what the weird thing is? That same the store that I told you where the two guys were walking back and forth, until finally one of them resorted. He's like, okay, pues nos vamos a tener que ir y no vamos a encontrar.
They would rather leave.
And yeah, and then the one saying, bueno, pues, ¿por qué no le preguntamos al Moy
Oh!
este? Right? And then I finally said, dígame, ¿cómo le puede ayudar el
Oh
mollo?
my god.
And they went like, oh,
Oh my
you
god.
know, es que no sabíamos que usted hablaba español y no queríamos preguntar. ¿Y por qué no quería
Right,
preguntar? Eh?
right, right.
But then, get this, there was another dude in that store who was from Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
And he was a short guy, big mustache, you know, olive skin,
Mhm.
whatever. And they would come straight to him and speak Spanish. And he would be
I
like,
don't speak Spanish.
I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. And they would get insulted. Mira este cabrón que no habla español, este hijo de- este cabrón.
What is wrong with people?
You know, it's just like, it's just weird. It's just
They're
weird.
mad because the black one speaks Spanish and didn't tell them. And then they're mad because the Saudi Arabian maybe looks a certain way because what does a Spanish person look like?
Right, right.
That person doesn't speak Spanish. So you can't win for losing.
And here's another thing I love is the ones who think that they know enough to even guess where you're from because you're black
Oh
and
my
speak
god.
Spanish. That's
Oh
another
my
one.
god. Oh my god.
You know, espérate, espérate, espérate. Ah, es que usted habla español. Ok. Am, ¿Colombia? ¿Es de Colombia? No. Y Venezuela,
De
Venezuela.
Panamá. Sí,
No.
panameño.
Ah, pues es panameño. Es panameño. Panameño. No,
No,
no, no.
tampoco. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And here's the weird thing, because I navigate two worlds in the sense that, I was born in Haiti, grew up in the Dominican Republic.
Mhm, mhm.
And so, because I grew up in the Dominican Republic, most likely I will tell you, especially when we're speaking Spanish, oh, soy de República Dominicana. Not that soy Dominicano, but soy de República Dominicana. It's like if you translate that into English, I'm from,
Right,
as opposed to I
right,
am,
right.
like if you would say, I'm Mercy from
Mhm,
Miami,
mhm.
as opposed to, you know. And so the whole idea that you have to look a certain way is beyond
Oh my
comprehension,
god.
but it doesn't seem to
Oh,
register
it
with
never
them
does.
that there is not a look that defined being Latino
Right,
or being
right,
Spanish.
right. I get that all
You
the
know.
time. Oh, pero espérate, ¿tú eres panameña? No, señora. No, señor, yo no soy panameña. Ay, pero el acento ese me parece
Mm, mm,
de Honduras,
mm.
maybe. No, tampoco. No, 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 no.
Garífuna,
Yeah,
garífuna.
yeah, yeah. And I'm like, no, tampoco, señora. Ah, bueno, dígame, yo soy cubana, señora. Ay, nunca hubiera sabido. Ay, no, no, no. Nunca hubiera pensado que eres cubana. And I'm like, oh my God.
Okay. Está bien. And sometimes I just leave it like that. Like, um, oh, usted es dominicano, ¿eh? Sí, sí. Oh, pues mire, mire, no lo parece.
¿Y cómo luce un
Okay,
dominicano?
okay. So, si usted va desde Santo Domingo a todo el sur de la República Dominicana, al noreste de la República Dominicana, la zona fronteriza, Barahona, al este de República Dominicana, San Pedro, La Romana, Higüey, Michel, lo que más va a encontrar
Mhm,
es gente que luce como yo.
mhm.
What you will find. And here's the thing, in all of these countries, regardless of how populous those countries are, to a certain extent, we are a minority in those countries. And because we are a minority, when we fall in the United States, due to the default label, the first thing that identifies us, even when we're filling out paperwork, because that's how stupid it is here, it has to be Black or African American.
And then black of non-Hispanic descent, Latino
Right.
Hispanic, the
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Because the
Asian.
paperwork
I'm
here is stupid too.
like, wait a minute, what?
And I have to talk about this because also it has a lot to do with the culture in the United States. Not 100% our people's fault. Yes, ignorance, but the way paperwork and officially people are origins are
Trying to
determined
identify, yeah.
is incredibly stupid
Oh
because
gosh, yeah.
there's an entire population in the United States that censuses and paperwork defined as
Mm,
white,
yeah,
but yet they don't want to be called
right.
white, and those they define themselves as MENA, right? Middle Easterns or North
Mhm.
Africans. So we're talking about people that are from Syria, Afghanistan, Morocco,
Right.
all of these countries, even South
Mhm.
Asians, some South
Right.
Asians, Indians, Pakistanis, in paperwork, in census, they are listed for the most part as white because there's no a box
Right, there's no
between black and
classification
white
for
that
them.
defines them.
But they don't identify with white. They do
No,
not
no, they
identify
would
with white.
prefer that you would call them, and so in fact, I think there's one or two Congress people that have been fighting for years to get MENA as an official definition.
Wow.
These people, right, Middle Eastern or North
Right,
African.
right, right.
So to a certain extent, even the way we fill out paperwork here is a
It's
bit
it's
stupid because when I first moved to the US, that was one of my biggest things because I felt like there should be more for me to choose from those paperwork.
and that I because I remember when I had uso de razón, put it that way, and when I was in school and they gave me one of those formularios that I had to fill out, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, I am black." And I
Yeah.
checked the black box because I'm
Right.
black. There's no way
Right.
around that. And they sent the paper back from the office and they said, have her correct this. And I'm like, well, correct it to what?
Okay.
I'm not understanding. And I think there were only
Wow.
four boxes to choose from: black, white, Asian,
Exactly.
and Hawaiian, or something like that. And I'm like,
And
and other,
other.
and other.
Right. The
So the
other.
teacher comes back and she says, you marked the wrong one." I said, "What do you mean I marked the wrong one?" And I think I was maybe in 5th grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, around there.
Hmm.
And right when we had to start picking classes and all that. Yeah, I was in like middle school. And I said, "I'm black." And she says, "No, honey, you need to put other, dear." And I'm like, "Other? Why? Why am I other? What?" And in my head, I'm like, "What is other? What is
What
other?"
is other?
what
What does that
what
even
does that
mean?
even mean? I was
Yeah. Yeah.
confused. And I was like,
Yes.
I don't think I'm other. And she goes, "Yes, dear. You're other. Yeah, mhm." And I'm like, "Okay." So I checked the box.
And she should know, right? I mean,
Right. I'm like, "You're asking a 10-year-old, 11-year-old?" I'm like, "The last time I
yeah.
checked, I was black." I looked in the
Yeah.
mirror and
Yeah.
it didn't change. I was still black. Yeah, and I had that same experience with my driver's license. When I got my driver's license at 16, the lady says,
Right.
"Race?" And I said, "Black." And she's like, "Race? Black?
Black.
One more time, honey. Race? Black? Other?"
Bitch.
And she put other. And I said, "Why did you do that?" And she said, "Well, you speak Spanish. You ain't black." And I'm like, "What?
Right.
I don't."
Yeah.
And in my head, that's all I know. Black people speak
Yeah.
Spanish. Where I'm from, they're
Yes.
all black. They all speak Spanish. What is wrong with that?
Yes.
Why is that so confusing? Why is that so difficult?
What's wrong with this
What's wrong
picture?
with this picture? And that's when
Exactly.
I started
Exactly.
to, I guess, try to navigate or understand the meaning of those boxes. Why do they have those
Yeah.
boxes? What does that help? What is it for? Is it the census, or what are you trying to categorize? What are you trying to segregate? To me, it's a form of segregation,
Yes.
you know.
Of course it is.
And it just absolutely makes no sense to me. You know,
Yeah.
when I was growing up, there was only four races, because I think what people are doing is they're mixing race with culture and identity and all of that,
And skin
and
color.
skin
Yeah.
color, and you know
Mm.
because culture and race They are not one and the same. You know, people
Absolutely not.
think,
Abs-
"Oh, you're this culture, so that makes you this." No, I am black and I am Hispanic or Latino.
yes,
But that does
exactly,
not take away from the fact that I am black. That is my
exactly,
race,
exactly,
the
exactly.
black race.
It is not impossible to be black and Latino and
Right.
Hispanic. It is not, like, the whole idea of you have to look a certain way in order to fit in this category is absolutely stupid. And this is what is so frustrating.
Right. And you know what I find kind of a little frustrating for me? You have like prominent individuals that are black and they do not put forward or they do not make it known that they are Spanish.
Yeah,
There's lots of
yeah,
celebrities and
oh
lots
yeah,
of individuals that, you know, in order to be accepted, they
yeah,
stay within one category and they forget about everything
yes,
else, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, why is that embarrassing or is it um, demeaning? Why do you want to just stay in one group?
I feel like a lot of those big
Yeah.
celebrities, when they finally talk about their blackness and Latino ness,
Mhm. Mhm.
is when it somehow looks cool or feels
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
You know, I can think of, for instance, you've got a black Cuban
Mhm.
actor,
Mhm.
right? And my dude is very good. And now he talks a bit more about being black in Cuban. But before that, Laz Alonso is
Mhm.
his name.
Mhm.
He plays. If you watch the series The Boys, he plays Mother's Milk in The Boys, and he's been in a lot of black movies, and so you could either assume that he's black
Mhm.
American, or like he just happened to have a Spanish last name. Laz Alonso doesn't even sound much because there's a lot of Alonso,
Mhm.
you know. But my dude is black Cuban. Then there is this actor that I remember. His name is J.A. Richards. J.A. Richards. And all of a sudden, he came out talking about being black Latino.
Hmm.
And it turns out that he is from Panama, which, of course, is no surprise that his last name is Richards, because there's
Oh yeah.
later we'll talk about all of those Anglo-Saxon last names in Latin
Right.
America.
Right.
And his name, J.A., Jose Augusto.
Oh.
Jose Augusto Richards.
If that's not a cover up, wow.
you know, and there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, it's become cool to be a Latino actor or performer of some kind. But still, you don't see a lot. You wouldn't think that there's a lot of black Latinos in the arts and so forth.
There is there's a large number. I just think they're kind of hidden, like you say. They cover it up really
Yeah,
good. And
yeah,
one thing that kind of like I grew up watching novelas, you know.
yeah.
I always my cousin, she was an actor, did Broadway in New York. She did several novelas on Univision, Telemundo, and all the Spanish. But she always played, she didn't have the primary role, put it that way.
Of
She was
course.
never, you know, she was always on the sideline. And I'm like, why are there not enough roles for Spanish, Latino, blacks? We don't ever get the primary roles. I, I
No,
don't even want to say very seldom. I don't even think I've seen a novela where there's been a black Spanish person at the forefront of the novela
as a
as a
protagonist,
protagonist
yeah,
of the novela.
very few, very
Very
few.
few. You would really have to look. Um,
In fact, Brazil has done a bit more of that,
mhm.
even though it was a lot of sex exploitation. If you remember Chica da
Yeah,
Silva,
yeah.
with Aisa
Mhm.
Araujo, it was more because she was fine as
Mhm.
hell and she was willing to pose
Right.
naked and stuff. So
They put them in
she
those
was
predicaments, though,
right, exactly,
you
exactly.
know?
But Spanish speaking, if you watch like Colombian and I'm not pinpointing, but if you watch Colombian telenovelas, some Venezuelan telenovelas, in Venezuelan telenovelas back, basically we were the aides, we were the
Yeah.
maids or the gardeners or
We were
whatever.
the yeah, yeah, the housekeepers, all that,
And
yeah.
in Colombian telenovelas, I haven't watched one in a long time, but mostly we were the bad guys, the drug
Still,
dealers, or
I've
the
watched, some lately in
the
the last couple years, and the roles haven't changed. The
yeah,
prisoner,
and
and stuff like that,
yeah,
yeah.
and even the names are not. They don't even try hard. Like El Negro
Right.
Fulano. Like for
Right,
fuck's
right,
sake,
right, right.
El Cholo, blah blah
Right,
blah. Like
right.
fuck
Díselo a
off.
mamá whatever, mamá a mamá Tila or mamá this one. Why they
Yes,
gotta be
yes. The old black lady is always Mama something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're right. You're
I'm
right.
like,
So, absolutely.
I can't with it no more. It's like, come on, really?
Yes, yes, yes.
I've never been able to see myself, you know, in a no see, someone that looks like me in that forefront, in that
Mm,
light. And even now it's a struggle. So that's what I'm thinking, why the Spanish, or Cuban or Dominicans or whatever, these celebrities kind of keep it on the low because they don't get the bigger roles. They
yeah.
put them in a box. They don't you're for that role. That's what you have to do.
I don't know of any other ones that will just be as affirmative
Mm-mm.
about it.
No.
You know,
No.
and it's just a damn shame because, as you said, we lack we lack that representation, and it's no. I know that the argument will be made, but there's a lot of Latinos in
Yeah.
movies right now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but
but it's in the same way that they can't identify us when they see us when they come up on
right.
us. We don't necessarily find that they completely identify
Right. Right.
us, uh, represent us, you
Right.
know. So there's that too.
There's an actor that I really like. She's I forgot her name right now. You might know. She's in the Avatar. She's the one that
Saldana,
Saldana.
Zoe Saldana. Yeah,
I think she's a great actor, but I think they only put her in certain roles. They don't put her in any Spanish
yeah,
roles, and she's fully Dominican, you know. And
yeah.
I've never seen her in any Spanish roles. I've never really even seen her say,
But that's the thing, though. I'm not entirely sure that Zoe has identified herself as a Black Dominican. I know that she will not hesitate to say that she's Dominican,
hmm
but that
yeah, well,
this problematic of Dominicans Dominicans denialism of
yeah,
their
yeah,
blackness, and this is a topic that I know very well because again I grew up in the Dominican
hmm
Republic and I know what you know. So I would have to go back and see if there is any point in which Zoe has identified as black and Dominican.
I don't think she's done
You
the
know,
black part.
yeah,
The Dominican
yeah,
part, I think, yeah, she has identified being Dominican, but the black part, I don't think so.
yeah, yeah.
I don't remember it.
There's a famous TikTok video up there of this lady, grandma, uh, going berserk about her little granddaughter being given a black doll. A Dominican grandma going berserk about her little granddaughter given a black doll, and
Oh, wait a minute, her
it's
granddaughter black?
mm, well,
Mulatona? Trigueña? She's
una
mulata?
mulatica, una mulatica,
Okay.
yeah, of course,
What are mulattoes
black
made of?
for you and me, black for you and me, but for themselves, not black at all,
Mulattoes are made
because
of.
you have to. It's amazing, exactly. But the other thing is, you have to remember. I don't know if that's the dynamic elsewhere in Latin America, but for in the Dominican dynamic of blackness is as long as my skin is a bit lighter than yours, then you're black and I'm
Right,
not.
right.
Do you,
And that's
do you
for
know
a
what I mean?
lot of cultures, I think, because,
Yeah,
the Puerto Rican culture does the same thing.
yeah,
The Puerto
yeah.
Ricans, "I'm not black, I'm Puerto Rican." Wait a
Exactly,
minute. It's like,
exactly.
"Oh, I'm not black,
Yeah,
I'm Dominican." "Oh, so it's
yeah,
okay for me to
yeah.
say I'm not black, I'm Cuban?" You know?
Yeah, is
Is that all
it?
right? I mean,
Yeah,
w my cousins are Puerto Rican, and they are straight black. Just I mean, they're black, dark like me,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but they're Puerto Rican, you know?
yeah, yeah. They're not black, they're Puerto
They're
Rican.
Puerto Rican.
Some of
And
them.
I've got
Yeah, listen.
friends. I've got friends that, "Ah, no, yo soy puertorriqueño, yo soy, boricua, yo soy boniato, whatever."
Para que tú lo
Para que lo
sepas.
sepa. Panita, pero
Yeah, yeah,
tú mira el color del pellejo. "No, no, 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 yo soy
exactly.
boricua." Okay, I'm not
And
doing
then,
that.
and then that's when pero el color de piel, pero ¿por qué que ustedes siempre están con la vaina del color de la, you know, and that's when the conversation goes back to, porque tú, como tú quieres siempre hablar de tu negritud,
Mhm.
entonces lo que eres es un acomplejado.
Oh,
Tú
yeah.
tienes un complejo de inferioridad. You have an inferiority complex because as soon as somebody talks about black, you feel
Right.
offended. And my thing is, it's not a question of offense, and neither an inferiority complex.
Right.
The problem is, no one else do you identify or call by the color of your
Right.
skin.
Right.
Yo nunca he oído, I've never heard anyone say, ven acá, hey, Blanquito, ¿cómo tú estás, mi Blanquito?
No.
No,
No.
no. But I'm always the, dime, negrito,
Yeah,
y
yeah,
entonces, dime,
yeah,
moreno, moreno, ¿qué
yeah.
pasó? Like,
Dale, mi negra,
can
ven
you
acá, mi
manage
negra.
to
I'm
say,
nobody's negra. Wait a minute.
"Mine-"
That's
exactly.
to me, that's demeaning.
No, pero es de
No.
cariño. You don't know me, fuck
Yeah.
off.
Tú no me conoces
¿Cómo
con
que yo
tanta
de
confianza
cariño?
para decirle a mí, mi negra. I that j- I walked into a place, and I have to share this. I walked into a place that I frequent every day almost. Well, yeah, every day. And all of a sudden I hear negrita. I'm the only listen. Number one is the A at the end, so it's femenina. Okay. And I was walking into a room full of men, you know, and
Yep,
I didn't see any other woman there. And the majority of the men were white or maybe even Latino, Spanish, or what have you.
yeah,
But all of a sudden, I hear them throw that word out, negrita. I'm like, you know what? They got to be talking about me because no, I'm the only woman in here. I just walked in and I'm the only black woman in here. So why would you feel compelled to identify me as a negrita when you don't go around saying, ven acá, blanquito?
exactly.
They don't do that. They don't do that. But yet with
It's just that
us,
they're ready to turn it back because to turn it back and say, pero ven acá, tú no eres negro.
right.
No, that's not
That's
what
not
I'm
what I'm
saying.
saying.
That is not
Yo
what I'm saying.
reconozco
I'm
que yo soy
saying that
negro.
exactly. But I have a
Right.
name, and if you don't know my name, then señor, señora,
Right.
don, doña will do. Like, last time I went to one of the last times I went to the DR, the first thing I do as soon as I get to the barrio is, you know, go to the colmado and find some cerveza presidente.
Mhm.
And so I went to the colmado, and there was a lot of people there. It was a Sunday, so colmados are full, and there was the only one guy, and he's very fast talking and trading and stuff. And finally, when he got to me, he was like, Moreno, dime, ¿qué va a querer?
Wh why
And
why
I
are
was
you
like,
Moreno and nobody else?
and I looked around, and he's like, no, 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 two. I'm like, first of all, like, you know, I'm bringing my money to buy shit
Right,
here.
right, right, right.
Second, everybody you addressed was, you know, señor, señora, don, doña, mi hermano,
Socio,
mi
whatever, mi
amigo,
amigo.
socio.
But you are
How
Moreno.
is it that I'm Moreno que tú eres? Pero espérate, loco, pues yo de cariño. no, pero eso es mucha confianza, viejo. ¿Usted ha visto mi cara alguna vez? ¿Usted me conoce? Do you know
Right,
me? You know what I mean?
right.
No, pero que tú no,
And you could feel the
that's not the
tension already.
question.
They're already getting
Right.
hyped.
Yeah, but like he insisted that I am the one who has a
Right.
problem
It's like you offended me,
because
bro.
yeah, I just called you by your color of your skin. That's exactly the point. Who else have you addressed today by the color of the
Right,
skin?
right.
And so he wouldn't understand that. I had a conversation the last time I went to the DR with a friend, and we were talking about Haitian immigration into Dominican Republic, and I I was making a point to say, listen, I understand that there's a problem with Haitian immigration in Dominican Republic. I understand that, but the hype about it on the radio, in the news, and everywhere else sound a bit hypocritical because the same could be said about an immigration problem when it comes to Venezuelans in the Dominican
Yes,
Republic,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And and my friend was like, "Yeah, it's true, but I think the Haitian problem is a bit out of
Oh,
hand." And I'm like, Okay, note the Venezuelan problem, like, because." And I said, "We went to the supermarket earlier, and I saw more Venezuelans than I saw
right,
Haitian, right?" And I'm not again. I'm referring to Venezuelans not because I'm picking on Venezuelans. I'm just saying that's the comparison that I had to
right,
make.
right, right,
And she was like, well, yeah, I'm glad you brought up the supermarket because here's the thing. Haitians in the supermarket, they in the cashier line, they jump ahead. And it bothers me because everybody's in the line. Why do you have to jump ahead? And I'm like, are you sure that it doesn't bother you a little bit more than that because they are Haitian
right,
immigrants?
right. Totally.
And instead of answering that question, her stick was, you see, now you are thinking about one of those American Moreno. Everybody's against black. This is has nothing to, I'm like,
She just
that's not
totally
what I'm
twisted
saying.
it.
Exactly. Because it had to be me with a problem as opposed to her acknowledging, maybe I should think about the fact that it bothers me as much,
Right.
right? Because there's a lot of people in Punta
Mhm.
Cana, right? And there's a lot of people from different
Yeah,
places in
yeah,
Punta Cana.
absolutely.
So the notion that you only pinpoint
Focus.
Haitians jumping the
Right,
line
right.
and it bothers you so much, it should it should ring a bell for you. It should say, maybe I need to look into that a bit
Right,
more. You know what I mean?
right.
But no, clearly it was me with a
No,
problem.
no, no. It was you because you're black, because you're Haitian, because you were even at the supermarket. Why go to the supermarket? Stay home. Stay your ass home, out of the way. Don't bother nobody. Don't spread your blackness.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's it. You know, like I said from the beginning, we could talk about this for a while, but in this particular conversation, we wanted to focus a little bit more, share a little bit more of the burden of identifying and experiencing blackness and Latino-ness at
Oh,
a
this
time.
can go on forever. I got stories for days, you know.
We are going to put this out there.
Yeah.
If you happen to come across this conversation and you would like to share your opinion, of course, we will put all the information you need to come back at us and share
Mhm.
what you have
Yeah,
to
we want to
say.
hear it.
Uh, if this has been your experience, yeah, feel free to share. If it hasn't been your experience, and if you think that we're the only ones who've gone through this, then of course, share your opinion. Also, we would obviously love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I'd love to hear what they have to say out there, that world out there.
Trust
So
me.
many colors.
Okay. Morenito azul and indecito
Oh my
claro,
God.
whatever
When you're
they
too
are.
dark, they call you azulito, you know.
Azul, hey,
Yeah,
metileno.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, el azulito. He's too dark. He's too black. What does too black mean?
Yeah, too black.
Mm.
Que está demasiado
Oh, sí,
quemado.
sí, sí. Carbón. Es una tinta. Tortilla. Yeah, yeah.
Over the next few episodes, we will go into history a little bit more, and we'll talk about how it came to be that there is a population of black people pretty much
Everywhere.
everywhere in Latin
Oh my
America.
God.
We will also talk about go a bit deeper into blackness and literature in Latin America and those telenovela roles and all of that. We will also talk a little bit about why there's almost no blacks in certain
Mm,
countries in Latin
mm,
America, i.e.,
yeah.
Argentina. We have a lot to talk
Yeah.
about. And again,
Yeah.
this is a series of conversations. It's not intended to be a forever podcast. So we're going to do as many episodes as we can, as long as we have topics
Content. Yeah.
to
Hmm.
discuss. And then, when we feel like we've touched on everything, we might stop. But also, it will all depend on the feedback that we get from you all. I want to thank you, Mercy, because
Thank
we
you
have we
for
have
having me.
been talking about this for
Oh, yeah.
months, and to be able to put it into perspective
Live
now
into perspective. It's
is
it's colossal. I'm excited.
is a beautiful
Yeah,
thing.
it is. It is.
So we'll work on the launch of this, and we will have a couple more episodes recorded so that
Looking forward.
we've
Looking
got
forward.
material to to go through, and then we'll see what people have to
Yeah,
say.
I'm excited to know how they feel, what they think. What have they encountered? How have they been surprised? How have they not been surprised? If they're feeling the same way, if they're black, if they're Spanish, do they speak Spanish? And you have like family of mine that are born from Cuban parents and they don't speak a word of English, word of Spanish. So how does that happen? It happens, but you
Oh
know.
yeah,
My
oh
son
yeah,
identifies, "Oh, I'm Cuban, él es más cubano que el azúcar, que la caña," and he looks like me.
yeah, yeah. I've seen pictures of your son. That's your boy.
Yeah.
That's your
Oh,
boy.
yeah, but you can't tell him he's not Cuban. Yeah, yeah,
No, and that's the thing. And no one can tell us what we are. That's the fact. It is what we are bringing to the forefront with these conversations is the fact that we are constantly being told what we look
what we
like and what we
or what
don't
we
look
should
like
look
and what
like.
we are or what we should
Right,
look like.
right,
That is the point of these
right.
conversations. And I know that a lot of people are going to jump on here and say, well, you're talking about being Latino and you are Haitian born. Yes, that's exactly right, which is why from the very beginning, I dissected why
Right,
Latino-ness
right.
has to do not with being with from a country that only speaks Spanish, but from any country that speaks languages of the
Right.
Neo-Latin
And this is
origins.
probably
So
for another topic or another conversation.
so again, we will be having another encounter soon. We will talk about something else. I hope you guys will tune in. And for now, we are going to stop it and say goodbye and
Thank
thank you.
you. Thank you for having me.